Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for April 25th, 2025 from the Derby Hill Hawkwatch. Migration was strong overnight, so I wanted to get out as early as possible, but when I got out, the sky was pretty ominous looking as some rain was moving in. After that rain, it remained overcast the rest of the day with a little bit of a brighter period in the afternoon that got some hawks up, and then some more rain around 4:30 that ended the count. This warbler was the first highlight of the day. It's yellow underneath with a yellow throat and a grayish head with a white eye-ring. This is a Nashville warbler. Then we had our first gray catbird of the season. Gray catbirds are gray overall, that's no surprise, but they have a bit of a black cap to them and they even have a little bit of orange under the tail. Kim and I went for a walk down through the woods, and along the boardwalk, this plant is flowering. This is marsh marigold, also known as kingcup, Caltha palustris. A lot of people began to arrive, and we were hanging out near the parking lot as it was still raining, and this male Baltimore oriole came into the feeders and was eating some suet. Here we have a tiny swallow with a brown breastband. This is a bank swallow. It was the kind of morning that to the uninitiated it may seem that nothing was happening, but actually if you paid close attention, there were hundreds of yellow-rumped warblers flying overhead. With the poor lighting, I was just trying to photograph as many birds that were flying over as I could, and I was happy to see that there were a few dark-eyed juncos that I captured in flight. The raptor flight was pretty slow most of the day because of those gloomy conditions, but the raptors that were pushing through were the ones that don't mind flapping a bit, such as this sharp-shinned hawk. We also had one small group of turkey vultures that came a short distance, landed in the trees, and then eventually moved on. Someone thought they saw a hooded warbler over along the hedgerow, so everyone wandered over there to see if we could see it. That did not turn up, but I did get to see the first northern parula of the season. And here we have a very small, squeaky songbird with a long tail and a white eye-ring. This is a blue-gray gnatcatcher. We also enjoyed some nice looks at some singing brown thrashers. Here's a lanky black and white raptor with drooping wings. This is an osprey. Here we have a small raptor with pointed wings that is light underneath, so a small light-colored falcon is an American kestrel, and looking at the tail pattern and the breast streaking, we know that this is a female, and as it came in, we watched it swoop and grab something, and you can see here it is eating a dragonfly. And here's another photo that shows how they eat on the wing. If you've been to Derby recently, you've probably seen the kitty and the turkey vulture peeking out the window of the cottage. Well, this pileated woodpecker also saw them peeking out and went over to attack the window. Perhaps it just saw its own reflection, or perhaps it saw the turkey vulture, which is a very similar coloration, and thought it was another pileated woodpecker. But in any case, it landed on the tree and gave us a nice look.
How dare you say I look like him? I'm much more handsome and scared him off to the roof of the shed.
And then the pileated flew around the cottage and landed on my car. He perched near my driver's side window, and I was a little afraid he was going to start fighting with himself in my mirror or window, so I moved over to shoo him away. We had a few common loons migrate over today, but not as many as we've been seeing most days recently. One of the highlights of the afternoon was this sandhill crane that was migrating west along the lakeshore. Here we have a small raptor with pointed wings that is very dark underneath, so a small, dark falcon that flies in a very aggressive manner is a merlin. Here's a raptor overhead that has kind of long, skinny, pointed wings and a long tail, very plain overall underneath. This is a northern harrier, and because there's not much streaking to the upper breast, this is a juvenile. After the rain shut the hawkwatch down, a few of us stuck around to do a warbler walk because we knew with the conditions it would be really juicy, as Dave Wheeler would say, and we really had yellow-rumped warblers dripping from the trees and a good number of palm warblers mixed in and a few blue-headed vireos and a Blackburnian warbler and a black-throated green warbler, and also the first yellow warblers of the season. Taking a look at the eBird list, today we had 77 species. We had 7 new species for the season today, which were blue-gray gnatcatcher, gray catbird, Nashville warbler, northern parula, Blackburnian warbler, yellow warbler, and black-throated green warbler, for a total of 144 species seen this season. Taking a look at the hawk count report for our migrating raptor totals, today we had 10 turkey vultures, 3 ospreys, 2 bald eagles, 12 northern harriers, 49 sharp-shinned hawks, 16 American kestrels, and 2 merlins, for a total of 94 migrating raptors. That brings the April total to 52,935 and the season total to 71,238. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it will be cloudy, becoming windy in the afternoon with some rain early in the day. The morning high of 58 degrees will fall to around 45. The winds are starting light from the southwest and then shifting around to the west at 20 to 30 miles per hour, following the passage of a cold front that will probably come through sometime in the mid-morning. So looking at the day overall, it's looking like early in the day there's going to be some rain that will be tapering off. So how late that rain stays and how gloomy it is overall will impact things. There might be kind of a sweet spot in the mid to late morning or even into the early afternoon. If those winds hold on to a little bit of a southerly component as they're strengthening, that could definitely get some hawks moving. And then when the winds go stronger and straight from the west in the afternoon, we'll probably end up moving down to the south lookout. And those winds may end up being a bit too strong to really get a good flight as it gets stronger in the late afternoon. So overall, it's a little bit hard to predict exactly what's going to happen because it's hard to tell how gloomy it will really end up being and if the winds will be enough to overcome that and get a raptor flight going. But there's a cold front coming through, so interesting things could happen. But it seems like most of the flight will probably be after the cold front hits as it starts to clear up, or at least won't be raining anymore. So could be an interesting day tomorrow. We'll get out and see what happens, and maybe we'll have some songbirds again in the early morning, even if it is a bit rainy. So it might be worth coming out early to pick through the hedgerows. For Sunday, they're calling for some light rain in the morning, then becoming partly cloudy with a high in the mid-50s, winds northwest at 15 to 25 miles per hour. So overall, that's a somewhat unfavorable wind direction, and it's fairly strong. So we'll be down at the south lookout, but I wouldn't expect too much migration. Although even with those cold winds coming off the lake, they're still calling for a reasonably warm temperature. So that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on it, but I wouldn't expect a lot for Sunday. And for Monday, they're calling for partly cloudy skies with a high around 65 and light and variable winds. So expect moderate migration for Monday. All right, another nice day of birding here at Derby Hill. We really had a lot of people show up today, and the weather didn't cooperate a ton, but the hawks that we did have coming through mostly gave us nice looks. A lot of them were fairly low, and it was kind of a steady flight of sharpies and kestrels and harriers, so there was enough to look at. And the non-raptors are really putting on a show as we get a lot of new arrivals with colorful birds like Baltimore orioles showing up, and there's just yellow-rumped warblers everywhere and small numbers of other warblers. So even species that will become relatively common, there's a lot of excitement as everyone sees them for the first time this year. So hope you can come out and join us sometime soon here at Derby Hill. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown
And Mr. Turkey Vulture.
Thanks for watching.